Hi everyone, so today is going to be the first episode of a beginner course or a beginner style crochet along that I'm going to do. Now, before I get into the actual tutorials and the actual crochet along that I'm going to do, basic about that is I'm going to be doing a blanket. I'm going to be doing them in little squares just so you can get your head around the actual stitches themselves. Now, the stitches themselves will be going through the basic stitches so you have something to work on. Now, this will be the first episode of the actual 12-week course that I'm going to do. Now, I say course, you can call it whatever you want. It's just like a crochet along. So today will be me going through the actual yarn or yarns that you could use depending on what you're thinking you're wanting it for. Like I said, the design of it's going to be worked up to be like a blanket. Now, each week I'll be adding a square. Now the squares will be quite small, so you can do loads of them, and once we get to the episode of joining them together, you can then figure out how you're going to do it, because I still not 100% how we're going to join them up together yet, because that episode mainly is going to be me talking to you the different ways of crocheting or even sewing them together. But I'll talk more about that once we get into the weeks that we go on. Now, this first week is mainly going to be actually talking to you about the equipment and stuff that you would need for crocheting. Now, when I first started learning a couple of years ago, I picked up some aluminium hooks off Amazon for something like not even a tenner, I don't think. I think they were $7.99 or something along that line. And you got a side, sorry about the noise, but you got all these hooks. Now all these hooks range from the smallest being 2mm to the biggest being 10mm. They're all different colours, as you can probably tell. Now, most of the time when I'm crocheting, I tend to stick around a 4mm, 5, 6, and sometimes even a 7. The only time I go smaller than that is when I want something to be small or lacy. I have used my 9 and my 10mm recently in making blankets. So I started out on them hooks. I must have started out on them hooks in the March, April time. And then my aunt bought me for my birthday that year, which is in June, some tulip hooks, and she bought me it in a case, and it came with some darning needles and a pair of scissors. I'm not sure where the scissors have gone, but again, it comes with 10 hooks, ranging from the smallest being 2mm to the biggest being 6mm. So I very rarely use the 2mm, the 2.2 or the 2.5. I do sometimes use 3.5mm hooks. So you can get most of these hooks from Amazon. I would suggest buying the aluminium ones, and if you struggle with them, go for one arthritis ones, because I have a bit more, as you can see on this one, it has sort of like a grip for you to use. I also know a few people like clover ones, which are a cheaper mix. These tulip ones are quite expensive. But clover also makes some nice ones with a similar grip on them. Whereas the aluminium ones, there aren't much places for you to grip on them. But I find them easier to slide in and out of the yarn when you're wanting to make it. And also if you have a few hoops or whatever on your hook, it has more of a thing than the tulip one. The tulip one only has so much space for you to hold your yarn on it, especially when you're doing two or three togethers, which I'll, again, once we get to that stage, I'll just talk to you about that. So they're the hooks. There's loads of different versions of hooks to get out, because I've also got some of these ones as well, which have just a plastic, more of a grip on the end. That one's got glitter on it. More of a grip on the ends of them for you to hold. This one is 3.5mm. This is a 5. You can also get, even though I've only got this one, wooden ones. We try and hide these as best we can, because we've got a dog who likes eating sticks and wood stuff. So that's why we don't have many of these around at the house. This is a 4mm. I don't like these too much, mainly because of the actual hook itself. Sometimes I struggle with actually working with the yarn with it, because it hooks onto the yarn and sometimes it can split the yarn. So that's the actual hooks themselves. The other things you need to think about when you're crocheting is how you need some sort of stitch markers. There's quite a few around. Some people don't use stitch markers, they actually use a bit of old scrap yarn as the stitch marker, because you can pull it in and out without actually having to secure it as much. Now I use these ones sometimes if I know that I'm at 10 stitches or 20 stitches or however many I end up counting to, I'll just quickly hook them in and hook that bit in. I mainly use these when I'm making blankets or even a top like I'm wearing at the moment, so I can keep my stitches straight. If I'm doing it towards just double checking myself if I'm putting a border on a blanket or something, I tend to use these ones, because you can just quickly nip them on top or something. These are mainly fabric ones, because you can hold them in place and they're quite tight, but they're still as good as stitch markers. So they're also something to think about when you're crocheting along. And then the other things to think about is yarn needles. There's various different types of yarn needles you can use. You can use darning needles, which can range in, as you can see, I've got loads here in this little tub, ranging in sizes and lengths, as you can see, and they've all got big eyes to put your yarn through. Sometimes I don't use these that often, mainly because the yarn sometimes I tend to use is chunky yarn, and sometimes I struggle putting that through the eye of that. So I tend to use one of these ones. It's got you get a pack of 3 Again, I'll put a link into the description box on where you can buy these. Because it's got a flexible and it's quite big hole for you to put your yarn through, and it's quite flexible and easier to use. You also can buy aluminium ones. Now these ones, as you can probably tell, I've never used, so I might end up putting these in a giveaway. They come in a pair of two, and you have like a little bit of a kink at the bottom with quite a big eye to put your yarn through. So they're quite good as well. So you've got them options, and then that's talking about the actual hooks and yarn needles and stuff that you would like. Now, talking about yarn themselves, most yarn will have a label on it, and the label holds most of your information that you need. So take this one for example. This is Stylecraft Special DK. Now DK is lightweight. Now you will get some different terminology on the yarn types between here in the UK and let's say US for example. US go by numbers and weight. For example, this one in the UK is classed as a DK weight, which is the same in America as a lightweight number 3. So Mandala yarn is lightweight 3 yarn. This will come quite close to the thickness and size of that. So bearing in mind, when you come to looking to see what yarn, it will tell you either on the main part of the label of where it says what it is, if it's a DK weight. It'll also show you towards the back of it where all the information is, whether it's a lightweight 3. Some yarn companies in the UK are starting to put the symbols on. I'm trying to see if I've got any around here. I don't. Of what size it is. It will also, so going back to this one, it will tell you what fabric it's made out of. So this one's 100% a premium acrylic yarn. It'll also tell you how many yards or meters. Mainly most of the time it will say meters. Sometimes it will tell you both. And it will also sometimes tell you if it's anti-pulling or not. It will also then tell you how to wash it and look after it, whether you can iron it, dry clean it, and whatnot. Most acrylic yarns you can wash in the washing machine. They will tell you at what temperature. So this, for example, 30 degrees. And it does say that you can tumble dry it on cool, iron on cool, and may dry clean. It will also then go and tell you what size hook to use, and it will tell you your gauge. It will then also give you 2 numbers, or a colour and a number. Your shade, it will give you a colour of what it is, and it will also give you a dye lot. So yeah, that's the basic information about yarns and stuff. So most of your information about your yarn itself will tell you on the label. Most of Stylecraft yarns you can get in most basic stores like Boys's. You can get it on most online stores as well. I'll put a few of them online in the description box below for you to look at as well. So that's the end of episode 1, literally. Episode 2, we'll talk about how to hold your hook, and I'll talk about how to start your foundation chain / foundation row, on how to talk about that, and how to do a slip knot, which starts off the actual project itself. So I will be posting these episodes every Sunday at about 9 o'clock. No, every Sunday at 10 o'clock. I'll be posting to Cows at 9. So every Sunday at 9 o'clock. So keep an eye out for it, and I hope you enjoy doing it. For the crochet along itself, once we get into the actual crochet along, I will be using this yarn. I'll be using different shades of it, so the first square that we'll end up making will be using this colour, because I have already started the balls of it from a previous project, so which is one of the reasons why I'm using this yarn for this project, is because I'm using up some scrap yarns. So hopefully that was good for you to understand and start thinking about the yarns and stuff that you want. So if you do go out, if you buy a yarn pack from a crochet hooks from Amazon or something like that, it'll come in a set hopefully, and then you can just buy the yarn that you want, and you'll know what hook, I can say needle and hook that you want. You can also, if you're going into a shop, I know some people don't do that a lot nowadays because of the pandemic, but you can also buy the yarn and then look on the label itself, and it will tell you what hook to use. So that's it for today, and I'll see you next Sunday at 10 a.m. Thanks, and stay safe.